Hi everyone, welcome back to another video from English Linguaverse. We're so happy you're here. Thanks for watching and please like and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about another verb in the present tense. This time we're talking about the present perfect. This is another extremely useful verb that you'll use all the time. It's perfect for talking about experiences, accomplishments, and recent actions that have just come to an end. So by the end of this lesson, you'll understand how to use the present perfect, how to form the present perfect, and of course, what it means. And we'll give you tons and tons of examples and opportunities to practice, but if you feel like you need more, you're always welcome to pause the video, rewind, watch it again, watch it as many times as you want, and keep practicing until you've mastered this tense. So let's get started. So there are three main contexts in which you'll use or often see the present perfect. It's when you talk about experiences, actions that started in the past and continue now in the present, and also recent actions with results that are happening now. Okay, so let me give you some examples. So we've got experiences. Here's a very common sentence to talk about experiences. I have visited France. I have visited France. So it's something that I have done. It happened in the past and it's complete, but of course I still remember it. So it affects my present. I have traveled to Japan. Again, it finished in the past, but it affects my present because I've had that experience. No one can take that away from me. Actions that started in the past and continue now. For example, we use this a lot when we're talking about work experience. She has worked here for 5 years. She has worked here for 5 years. So it started in the past. 5 years ago, she started working, and she's working for 5 years, and it's the present now. It's been 5 years. Do we know about the future? Do we know if she's going to continue working tomorrow? We don't know. But right now we know she worked and she's still working here right now, most likely. She has lived here since 2010. She has lived here since 2010. So she started living here, what is this now? 15 years ago in 2010. And she lived, and now it's the present. Right now, 2025, I don't know when you're watching this video, but right now it's 2025, so 15 years, okay? So started in the past and it continues to the present. All right, last one. Recent actions that have a result now. Here's an example. He has just finished his homework. He has just finished his homework. So we don't know when he started, but he started in the past and he just now finished. So that has a result now. The homework is finished. That's the result. Started in the past, now it's done. He has just finished his presentation. He has just finished his presentation. So he started, who knows, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, 2 hours ago. He presented, and now he's just finished. As you notice as well, I use the word just in both of those sentences to explain that something just finished. Now it's time for you to practice forming the present perfect, which will also give you a really good sense of its meaning, really what it means and how you use it even more. So we're going to move over to the whiteboard now, and you're going to have a chance to see the structure and how the present perfect looks on a timeline. As usual, let's start with our subjects. I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Okay? And we're going to follow it by, my favorite verb, my favorite thing to do is eat chocolate, let's say. So I have eaten. You have eaten. He, she, it has eaten. We have eaten. They have eaten. Okay, so as you can see right away, and again, forgive the blurring here, all of these are verb 3. So we've got verb 3, verb 3, verb 3, verb 3, verb 3. Okay, the formal word or the formal name of this type of word is the past participle. But I mean, unless you want to be a linguist and start learning all about those names of English, don't worry about it. Obviously, if you already know this word and this name and you understand that it means this, then go ahead. It's great. Use it. I love it. But if it's too much to remember, if you get confused with the pronunciation and then distracted, just think verb 3. It's easy enough, okay? So you've got verb 3. But then what do we have here? Because, of course, you need 2 verbs to form the present perfect. So we've got verb 1, verb 1, verb 5, right? Verb 1, verb 1. Okay, so again, verb 5 here because it is for he, she, it, but this stays verb 3, okay? So if you want to make it a nice little equation, let's say subject plus have or has plus verb 3, okay? That is, if you want to put it in math terms, the equation for this particular grammar, all right? And let's look at it on the timeline, okay? I'll use black for the timeline right now. Got past, future, past, and future. And right here in the middle, the present, right? Okay, so the important thing about the present perfect is that it's something that has maybe started in the past and it continues into the future. It could also be finished in the future. We don't know. I have eaten. That probably means that I've finished eating. But it's also something that could affect the... Okay, now let's get into the timeline so you understand the actual time period that this grammar is referring to. Okay, so past, future, and then of course our favorite, the present. Okay, so with the present perfect, it's gonna have a shape like this because it's something that either started in the past or was affected by the past, but it's still relevant in the present. Either it's still going on or it's something that has just finished, okay? It can also, like I said, be an experience. So it's something you experienced in the past, but it still, of course, has effects in the future, okay? I mean, not the future. It can also, like I said, be an experience. So an experience, let's say I have visited France. I don't know, we always use France as an example. I have visited France. Okay, yes, you visited in the past, but it's something that still affects your present. You can't ever take that away. You can't take that visit away, okay? So something that happens in the past, but it affects the present here, okay? So this is the time period. As you see, it has nothing to do with the future. It didn't finish in the past. That would be past simple, but it's something that still continues or is still relevant today, okay? Now, let's get into actually forming some sentences with the affirmative, negative, and question form. Let me erase this. Okay, now let's get into forming some sentences with the affirmative, negative, and question form here. Let me just start with the sentence. So let's do visit because I like that one as an example. So again, she has visited London. Okay, you can even put more on that. You could say 3 times if you want. Either way is correct. Okay, so that's a positive one. That's an affirmative sentence. Then you've got negative. She has not or hasn't visited London. Okay, and then we've got a question form. Has she visited London? Nice little question there. And all of these make so much sense, okay? Let me just smooth this out a little bit. Okay, so let's look at the types of verbs we have then. So we've got verb 5, verb 3, verb 5, verb 3, verb 5 at the beginning, and verb 3, okay? As you notice, this part of the present perfect, have and has, becomes the helping verb here. You don't need to add do or does, okay? Because this already takes the place of that. So she has visited London. She has not visited London. Has she visited London? So here you have it, 3 different ways of using it in the affirmative, the negative, and the question form. Okay, everyone, I hope that you liked that. Now you're going to have a chance to practice. Okay, so on the next slide, you're going to see some gap fill sentences, and it's your job to complete those sentences with the correct form of the present perfect. So give it another second. That slide will come up, and of course you can pause it in order to take as long as you need to do the exercise. And don't skip ahead, but whenever you're finished, let the video keep rolling and you will see the answers. Okay, good job. So you've seen some really good examples. You've seen all the correct ways to use and form the present perfect. But now let's talk about some common errors so that if you do make these errors, you can catch yourself and correct yourself, okay? So the first common error is an error that you can make in many, many different verb forms in the present, and this is confusing has and have. Remember, have is verb 1, has is verb 5. So has goes with, what is it again? He, she, it. So don't forget, you do have to change that because have and has change their form. Verb 3 is always the same. I have eaten, she has eaten. So have has change, eaten does not change, okay? Another common error is using for instead of since, or confusing the two, okay? So, for example, here's the error. I have lived here for 2010. No. I have lived here for 2010? No. I have lived here since 2010. I have lived here since one point in time. Okay? I have lived here since one point in time. I have lived here since 10 years. I have lived here since 10 years? No. I have lived here for 10 years. So for plus a period of time. For plus a period of time. So that's another thing to remember. It's not exactly the grammar itself, but these are words that commonly go with that grammar, and so it can be easy to mix them up. Don't worry, the more you practice, the easier it will get. Another mistake that I see a lot is adding the word ago. Ago. So ago only works when you're talking about the past. I lived here 10 years ago. Okay, so that's the past simple. We haven't gotten there yet. The past simple is talking about something that happened in the past and it ended in the past. So that's why you can use ago. You cannot use ago with the present perfect. I have lived here 10 years ago. No, it doesn't work. So just remember, ago goes with the past, but since and for go with the present perfect. Okay? One other mistake that's easy to make, and this will take some time and practice because it's even hard for me to think of some examples, but the mistake is to use verbs that really don't make sense in the present perfect, okay? I can think of two right now that I hear a lot from my students. For example, I have learned English. I have learned English, okay? It might sound like it's correct. I have learned, the grammar's correct. I have learned English, that sentence is correct, but it really doesn't make any sense. Why? Because you don't ever stop learning a language, okay? If you start learning a language, you'll always be learning it in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't end. And one of the most important things about using the present perfect is that it starts and it's complete. It ends somehow, okay? So it starts and ends. It's complete in this present time. But you can't ever complete the learning process, okay? You can say, I have spoken English for 10 years. It started in the past and you're still doing it, but you can't say that I have learned English. Another one that you'll really understand why this is not correct. For example, I have woken up for 3 hours. I have woken up for 3 hours. So the verb here is wake up. And I'm trying to use it in the present perfect. I have woken up. But it makes no sense because that is an action that happens once. Yeah, it happens once. Okay? So I woke up. Really, you can only use it in the past if it's going to make sense. Obviously, if you make the mistake and you say, I've woken up for 3 hours, you mean I have been awake for 3 hours. But that's a grammar point we have not gotten to yet, so don't worry about it. So if you say, I have woken up for 3 hours, people will probably understand what you mean. But what you really want to say is just, I woke up 3 hours ago. You want to use the past simple, not the present perfect, okay? So as you can see, as we move forward, there's always going to be a bit of tension between, do you use the present perfect or do you use the past simple? So with practice, you'll get a better sense of it. So just keep practicing the present perfect for now, and you'll really, really start to master it. Okay, so I'm going to give you some more practice, and this is going to be in the form of questions because we often use questions in the present perfect tense, okay? We use questions to talk about what you've done in the past that still is relevant today, okay? So here's the first question. Have you ever visited another country? Have you ever visited another country? And here's a possible response. Yes, I've visited 10 other countries. I live in the United States, but I have visited Colombia, England, Canada, Brazil, France, Poland, Japan, Singapore, and New Zealand. Obviously, there are more, but I have visited all of these countries. Here's another question. What's something you have achieved this year? What's something you have achieved this year? And a possible answer. Well, I've achieved a lot this year. But one of my biggest achievements was finishing an online course in UX design. So that was a big achievement. I just want you to notice there, I shifted between the present perfect and the past simple. So it's not incorrect to do that. You can change tenses in a single sentence, and it's still good. Okay, let's have another question. Where have you worked? Where have you worked? This is a good question because you might get it in an interview. So I have worked for several different companies. I've worked for a university, I've worked for a children's school, and I have worked for the government as well. And obviously you'd give more details, but that's my answer for now. And here's another question. Where have you lived in your life? Where have you lived in your life? Wow, that is a good question. I've lived 3 places. I've lived in the United States, I've lived in England, and I've lived in Colombia. So 3 places. Good. So if you want more practice with those questions, my recommendation is rewind, let the question play, pause it, and give your own answer, and then listen to my answer again. Those are just sample answers. They're not perfect, and they're not the only possible answer out there. So keep listening to the questions and responding to them for more practice. Okay, well, great job. That felt like a really quick lesson, actually. I hope you feel more confident with the present perfect and you at least have some more understanding of it so you can go away and start practicing it and using it. So now you know how to use it, how to form it, what it means, and some of the mistakes that you should be careful of, some of the errors. So don't forget, practice as much as you can, take notes in your notebook, go out in the world and speak, and we'll see you in the next video. Good luck.